witches, welcome back to my channel. It is me, your local chaotic witch aunt. Benji is excited. Say hi. What? Do you have something to tell me? What's going on? Anyways, today's video, today's video is talking about 10 kitchen herbs that have magical properties and that you can use in your spell work. Okay, calm down. Most of these are just got spit on my glasses. Benji, go lay down. Go lay down. Most, if not all of these, are actually from my kitchen. A few are herbs that are in my are typically in a kitchen, but I don't actually have them for the kitchen. And we're gonna get started. I mean, I'm making this video because I feel like, one, utilizing kitchen tools in your craft is so much fun, and two, so many herbs that have magical properties are incredibly accessible, and you don't need to kind of go out of your way and go to a metaphysical store to get them. A lot of times, more basic and accessible ingredients will do the trick. Of course, that's not the case for everyone, but in terms of folk magic, that definitely is the case most of the time. So we're gonna start off with a few of my favorites. I'm starting off with salt. Salt is a wonderful ingredient. I feel as though there's nothing that a little salt cannot solve. Whether you're cooking, whether you're doing protective magic, whether you're doing purifying magic, I go for the good old-fashioned sea salt. This is Morton brand. It has a little lady with a umbrella. I go for sea salt. Sea salt has so many different protective properties. I use sea salt in a little spell bowl on my window to absorb any negative energies. You can put it across doorways, on windows, or in a little bowl by your front door to stop negative spirits from entering. It really is this kind of purifying, protective ingredient that I like to add to everything. For me, salt absorbs negativity and it also dispels it. The idea of putting sea salt or salt by the front door is that a negative spirit, or like a witch, catch-all term for negative spirit in a lot of cultures, will need to stop and count all the grains. And because there's so many, it'll inevitably lose count and get frustrated and walk away. And that's the same with salt. Mustard seed is another one, and there are a few other, I believe, kind of granular things that include this or can be applied to that logic. Salt is my go-to for most things. I use it in my cures, I use it in my protective spells, I use it as a protective agent by itself. Up next we have garlic powder. I love garlic. Garlic, if you don't know, has heavy association with Saint Michael Archangel. So if you, like me, are a full practitioner or Italian American and Saint Michael is up your ass all the time, use a little bit of this bad boy in your spells. You can also get minced garlic and garlic cloves. I personally like having just like a clove of garlic in the home. Braided cloves of garlic are kind of traditional for Italian American folk magic to like protect the kitchen and protect the house. But for me, I don't have that kind of money for braided garlic, and if you know where to get it that's not super expensive, let me know, or where to find it. I can't find it. You can just take a garlic clove and put it by your front door, or keep it in the general vicinity of an entrance, and it will protect the home. That's something that I've done, and I've given like housewarming gifts to people where it's just a clove of garlic, like a head of garlic. I'm like, here's your protection garlic. Garlic powder is great for spells including jars, spells that you need to burn, spells in which the powder is just gonna work more. So if you're covering a candle with it, if you are using a salt bowl, I have some garlic powder in that salt bowl. If you are spreading it across doorways, adding it to a jar, this is gonna be a lot easier than a whole clove of garlic. Although a whole clove of garlic does great work when you're hanging it. Looks nice, it's shriveled up, and someone's like, what is that? And you're like, that's my garlic. They're like vampires, and I'm like, sure. I personally love garlic powder because it's less expensive and you can find it at the grocery store. It does add to spaghetti dishes and clam dips. You can also add it to a protection spell. Any form of garlic is fine. Super protective energies, very repellent of negative energies. Go to. Love it. Next up we have basil. Basil leaves. This is our first non-protective herb from the kitchen. This is once again Kroger brand. I believe this is like, yeah, it's like tiny. Abundance. It's like tiny little pieces of leaves. You can also get whole basil leaves if that's your vibe. A lot of herbs, when you get them as kitchen spices, you're going to get them as like a kind of powder or a crumbled up version of the whole leaf. And if that's not your vibe, you can seek out whole leaf ingredients. I don't mind this because basil for me is something that I use in money bowls. I use it in abundance workings, prosperity workings, any type of money magic. I also love adding this to a very particular dish that I make, which is either going to be called goulash or pasta visual, whether or not you add meat to it. And when I do this, I add some basil. I like making pasta visual as like a housewarming type of meal for friends and for myself. And then when I make it, I add some basil with the intention of bringing prosperity into the person's home or meal home. It's a great herb. I believe it has, I feel like prosperity is the main one that I associate with it. It may have some other ones, it may be luck, but I'm not quite sure about that one. But basil is a really good go-to, really great for abundance magic. Add a little basil to whatever you're eating that day to bring in abundance or to bring in money or prosperity in your particular whatever you're doing that day. Moving on, bay leaves. This is my first usually found in the kitchen, but this isn't a kitchen herb ingredient. I don't often cook with bay leaves. For bay leaves, you typically add them to stews or things that are going to be simmering for a long period of time. And that's kind of the go-to for bay leaves. And I don't often cook stew. So when I cook something for a long period of time, I'm obviously going to add a bay leaf. There are a few and many associations with bay leaves. One of the most known ones is taking a bay leaf, writing a wish on it or an intention or a goal, and then burning it to make it kind of come to fruition. I personally use bay leaves for literally everything. I use them in purification rites because they have great purifying properties when burned. I use them in incenses that I make with my ancestral herbal allies because they are, you know, like bay laurel is big in Italy. It was very big in ancient Rome. I use it for protection. If I'm having an off day, I will take a bay leaf and burn it, and my vibes reset. Bay leaves reset vibes, okay? They're also really great for prosperity workings and abundance workings, just like basil. So if you're making a stew and you're like, I wanna throw some prosperity, make this a prosperity stew, put a bay leaf in it. I like bay leaves for charm bags for protection, but mostly I love burning them because they smell really good. The incense is very purifying, it's very protective, and it often makes me feel like everything is right in the world. I don't know why I love these bitches so much, but I really do. I'm looking at like a client spell I did. By the way, if you want to get a spell from me, check down below. I'm looking at a client spell I did, which was a curse reversal, and I used bay leaves in it. I didn't used to use them this much, but I just find them to be so accessible and so easy to work with as like an herbal ally that I'm just very attracted to them. Another example is one time I put bay leaves in a stew with my friend and podcast co-host Matt, and he was like, let's set an intention with this bay leaf and then put it in the stew so the intention seeps into the stew. So like kitchen magic, protection magic, smoke cleansing, all of this stuff is great when you have bay leaves. I just talked about them for so long, but we're gonna move to the next one. So I have two here. The next one I have on my list is oregano. I don't use oregano as much in my practice as you would think that an Italian American folk practitioner would. Oh, but it smells so good. I mostly use oregano in cooking. Oregano is good to bring joy into the home, to settle arguments, and to dispel disruptive and negative influences. I think the book Burn a Black Candle by Dean Norman says that if you sprinkle wild gathered oregano or marjoram around your house and then sweep it up, it'll dispel any negative forces. If you don't have wild grown, smidge and spoon leaf oregano is good. Store-bought's fine. If you don't have hellfire, store-bought's fine. I use oregano similar to basil in most of my cooking, if not all of it, and I love it in cooking. It tastes so good. It's a staple when I cook pasta. When I am making eggs, I'll throw a little oregano on there. And I often find that I'm using it so much that it's great to just kind of brighten my day, dispel any negativity that have been placed on me. Just a little oomph to get rid of all of those nasties hanging around you. This next one is one that you may have more difficulty finding in a grocery store, but I found this in a grocery store, so I'm including it, and that is juniper berries. These bad boys are by Frontier Co-op. They are rich and piney. I love juniper berries. We have a juniper tree in the front yard. So I actually could probably gather my own. I've been working with juniper since the beginning of my practice. It's one of my favorite plants. Juniper, I believe, is also used to make gin. And juniper berries are typically used, I believe, in fish dishes. I'm not 100% sure. But I got this at the grocery store, and for me, juniper berries, I actually think I stole this from my mom's spice drawer because I was like, are you using these? She's like, no, I never use them. I'm like, well, I'm gonna take them because I love having them on hand. I use these in crossings. I use these to bring in abundance. Juniper has always had a very protective element. When we think about juniper as the bush, it's spiny, it's spiky, it's difficult to trim back, but if you can get to those little nuggets, they're great, and they taste good in food, and it makes alcohol. Amazing. I typically use these for abundance rituals. I will pop them into my money bowls or prosperity workings, and every once in a while I cook with them when I want a rich and piney flavor. What dish would be rich and piney? Moving on. So the next two are more, I would say, like more well-known. Juniper berries are one of those things that I like meet everyone once in a blue moon who's like, I love juniper berries, and then everyone else is like, juniper, really? So comment, like, subscribe if you like juniper. The troublesome duo has arrived, aka Benji and Stinky. They always walk together. It's really weird. I've never seen a cat and dog behave the way they do. You weirdos. So next up we have cloves, rich and aromatic. So cloves are great. Cloves are typically in pumpkin spice. They are in chai. They are in anything. I believe there's a mulled wine recipe that uses cloves. I personally am allergic to cloves. So when I use these, I have to wash my hands after, and I cannot ingest them because my tongue gets all tingly. And I also can't have pumpkin spice, so drop a clove-free pumpkin spice recipe down below, please. I want it. So these cloves are great for protective rituals, domination, magic, if that's what you want. Anastasia Moongirl, aka Moonlight and Sage Apothecary, I believe posted a protection ritual once on her TikTok page, which, by the way, if you don't follow her, you should. Moonlight and Sage is an amazing store in which all the ends of the cloves are faced inward at like a mirror or a picture of you to create protection. I typically associate cloves with protection in a way that is like a little more hardcore. So if I'm looking for like protection with an edge, this is what I go to cloves. It's just the vibe it gives me. I don't know how to explain it. I'm sure that magically it makes sense to someone here, but like that is what cloves give me is protection with an edge. Moving forward, I'm not actually looking at any of these definitions. I'm just going off the top of my head, so I may have missed a few things. Next we have cinnamon. These are sticks. It is in a crushed tomatoes organic jar because we have a lot of tomato jars. So these are sticks. They're delicious. I love the smell of cinnamon personally. That's just me. I've also been using cinnamon since the beginning of my practice because we always had it in the house. And for some reason, we always had the sticks in the house. So I was like, okay, cool. So cinnamon, what are you attacking? Is that a fucking fuzz? Oh my God. Cat playing with a fuzzball. Cinnamon, we always had it in the house. We always had the stick version. However, you can get ground cinnamon just as easily. I love ground cinnamon as well. We just don't have it. I mean, I don't cook often with cinnamon unless it's baking. Or if I'm making a like chai drink, I will use cinnamon and no cloves, but cinnamon. So I have these sticks and I keep them in my, as I call it, my witch room. It's also referred to lovingly as the altar room and the office. Depends on which day, all right? Depends on what mood we're in. I love cloves. I mean, cinnamon. I love cinnamon. When I have cinnamon sticks, I like to tie them to broomsticks and like place it by the front door. Keeping a broom by the front door is also like a protective thing. So tie them to charms for protection. These are also really good for abundance and prosperity. So add some ground cinnamon to your little money bowl, your prosperity working. I've made a money drawing oil, which I don't know where it is, in the past that added cinnamon, frankincense resin, and a few other things to it, and it's worked wonderfully so far. I love it. Cinnamon sticks, easy to get, super cheap, love. All right, last two ones, and you're gonna be looking at me like, this is definitely an Italian American. Number one, rosemary. This is half like store-bought rosemary and half dried rosemary that we had from our old garden. Hey, what is everyone doing? I love rosemary as a protective plant, as a healing plant. Rosemary is one of my biggest herbal allies. It literally, she feels like a warm hug. She's also heavily associated with Saint Mary, so that's probably why I use her a lot. Burning rosemary, like a rosemary smoke cleansing stick, is a great way to clear your space of negative energies. If you just need an energetic pick-me-up, I find them to be a little less purifying than bay leaves and not as strong as, let's say, rue, where rue is gonna be like the kicking spirits out vibe, where rosemary is like just a general vibe check, and bay leaves are like a vibe check with a kick. God, I hope people understand what I'm saying. This is fucking ridiculous. Rosemary is one of my, like, I put it in protective incenses, cleansing incenses. I do want to collect some rosemary sprigs and like create a little protection charm out of it, but it's winter now, so I need to wait till the height of the growing season to gather the rosemary that we have at my parents' house. But overall, love it. There's some twigs in here. I'm gonna make a rosemary thing. Obviously, when I work with rosemary, I'm very typically blessing it in Saint Mary's name or using it to commune with her in a lot of ways, which that may not be for everyone. And I've met a lot of people who didn't vibe with rosemary because they felt like she was too nice. I get it, but I love her. Last but not least, bitches love olive oil. This is extra virgin olive oil. It is not roasted garlic flavored olive oil, which is what my boyfriend brought home when I sent him to the store for olive oil. Fucking disgrace. Of course, the roasted garlic olive oil works great in protection spells, but I go for the typical one. So olives, you can also get blessed olive leaves. I have like a bunch of blessed olive leaves, and I use those for purifying and protection. Olive oil is just such a like, oh, you can cook with it. You can anoint yourself with it. You can bless things with it. And it is got the vibes of 1, olives, 2, oil, 3, olive oil. I feel like using olive oil in your practice is one of those very like that's what gives me away as an Italian American field practitioner, is the amount of things I do with olive oil. I did like rub a bunch of olive oil on a candle, accidentally turned it into a fire hazard. Everything's fine now, but that did happen. So when you're using olive oil on a candle, always go less is more. When I do not have like a kind of oil associated with my purpose, or when I'm doing a protection spell, I will typically go for olive oil. I will rub it on my hands. I will anoint the candle with it. You can also make blessed olive oil on a specific day of the year. I forget which one, but to bless your olive oil, say the Hail Mary 9 times over it. You can also do the Our Father. I like to do the Hail Mary because Our Father. There's nothing wrong with the Our Father. I'm just a Hail Mary bitch, right? I work with Mary. I'm a devotee to Mary and Diana. Here we are. But olive oil is good if you don't have any other oil. Let's say you want to banish someone. You want to bless a space, you want to anoint a candle, a protection candle, go for olive oil. Olive oil is my substitute for when I don't have an oil, like I said, associated with a particular purpose. If I don't have a binding oil, I'm gonna add olive oil to it and talk my way through the olive oil. Be like, hey, olive oil, please help me with this. Thank you. I'm trying to use that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 kitchen tools that you can use. All of these, if I bought all of them in one go, like all of these, I hope it was under $30. I did pay for a slightly more expensive olive oil from Italy because I need good olive oil in my life. But everything else is probably not even that much. Probably under 20. And for that, I just list you can do protection, you can do abundance, you can do some domination magic, you can purify your space, you can cleanse your space, and you can bring joy into the home and dispel negative forces. A lot of my magic has to do with necessity. So what do I need and what do I need to do? What do I prioritize? So I prioritize long-term prosperity and abundance. I prioritize protection of my space, of the people in my space, in the home, cleansing and clearing energy, and bringing good things in. And for me, these herbs kind of do all of that. Of course, I have a lot more herbs in my closet that aren't kitchen related, that have to do with uncrossing or hexing or protection, that are a little bit more funky than just kitchen herbs. But these are the ones I have that I know for sure when you walk down into a grocery store, you'll be able to find them and you can use them for all different types of spells. So this was my long-awaited 10 kitchen herb video. If you liked the video, take a shot of olive oil. That's a joke. Don't do that. That's disgusting. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, turn the bell on, but no pressure. Make sure you watch to the end of the video and watch a couple more videos of mine while you're at it so I can afford to put some decorations up here. Because this shit is barren. So watch a few more videos so I can decorate my room. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to drink water and enjoy the rest of your day. Siete Benedetti.